Risk management process and how to improve risk management process in an organization. Welcome to the Risk Management of Everything channel. On this channel, you will see videos on risk management and the application of risk management to diverse areas and sectors. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the notification button so you can be notified when we upload new videos. Thank you. This video explains the risk management process and how to improve the risk management process in an organization. Now, let us start. What is risk management? Risk management is a scientific approach to dealing with risks by anticipating possible losses and designing and implementing procedures that minimize risks and financial impacts of the losses that occur. Risk management is the process of identifying, evaluating, and prioritizing risks followed by integrated and economical application of resources to reduce, observe, and control the probability or impact of unfortunate events or to maximize the realization of opportunities. Risk management is an important business practice that helps businesses identify, evaluate, track, and improve the risk mitigation process in the business environment. Businesses of all sizes practice risk management. Small businesses manage risks informally, but large organizations may embrace a holistic risk management approach known as enterprise risk management. Businesses want to ensure stability as they grow. Managing the risks that are affecting the business is a critical part of this stability. Not knowing about the risks that can affect the business can result in losses for the organization. Being unaware of a competitive risk can result in loss of market share, being unaware of financial risk can result in financial losses, and being aware of a safety risk can result in an accident. Risk management requires some investment of time and money, but it does not need to be substantial to be effective. It will be more likely to be employed and maintained if it is implemented gradually over time. Risk management process. Implementing a risk management process is vital for any organization. Good risk management does not have to be resource-intensive or difficult for organizations to undertake or insurance brokers to provide to their clients. With a bit of formalization, structure, and a strong understanding of the organization, the risk management process can be rewarding. The risk management process is a framework for the actions that should be taken. 5 basic steps are involved in a risk management process. These steps are referred to as the risk management process. It begins with identifying risks, analyzing risks, then the risk is prioritized, a solution is implemented, and finally, the risk is monitored. In manual systems, which is a situation where risk management software is not engaged, each step involves documentation and administration. Risk management is not just about identifying risks, and it is also essential to know how to manage the risks. The key is to have a basic understanding of the process and to move towards its implementation. The 5 steps of a risk management process. Here are the 5 steps of a risk management process. Step 1, identify potential risks. Step 2, analyze the risk. Step 3, evaluate or rank the risk. Step 4, treat the risk, and Step 5, monitor results and review the risk. Now, let us discuss the 5 steps of a risk management process. Step 1, identify potential risks. The question that should be addressed at the risk identification stage is, what can go wrong? The first step in preparing a risk management plan is to identify potential risks to a business. The first step is to identify the risks that the business is exposed to in its operating environment. There are several types of risks, including operational risk, financial risk, strategic risk, reputational risk, legal risk, market risk, and regulatory risk. Understanding the scope of possible risks will help an organization develop realistic, cost-effective strategies for dealing with them. It is essential to identify risks that an organization is exposed to. An organization can identify its risks through experience and internal history, including interviews or group brainstorming, consulting with industry professionals, and external research. It is crucial to identify as many of these risk factors as possible. These risks should be documented. It is also possible for an organization to engage a risk management solution or system into which risk information can be inserted or imputed for processing. Though such automated risk management solutions may be expensive, the advantage of this approach is that risks identified would be visible to every stakeholder in the organization, and stakeholders can access the system. Since the risk environment is dynamic and constantly changing, the risk identification process should be continuous and regular to identify newly emerged risk exposures of the organization. Step 2. Analyze the risk. At this stage, you should measure the frequency and severity of each of the identified risks. Questions that should be addressed at the risk analysis stage are: what is the likelihood of a risk occurring, and if it did, what would be the impact? After identifying potential risks, the next step is to analyze the risk. The scope of each of the risks identified at the first stage of the risk management process must be determined and analyzed. The essence of risk analysis is to measure the frequency and severity of a risk. Frequency is the likeliness that a risk will occur or how often it is likely to happen. If a risk has the potential to happen every day, then more resources should be directed towards preventing the risk. On the other hand, little resources should be dedicated to managing risk with a low probability or likelihood of occurrence. The company's management should assume that the risk will not occur because it is unlikely, but the company may not need to pay too much attention to the risk. Severity measures how much of an impact the risk it would have done occurred, in terms of financial damage, reputational damage, or other losses. The most severe risks must be dealt with more carefully than those that will not significantly affect the company's ability to operate. This process will help the organization prioritize its risks and decide on the order of priority of managing the firm's risks. Analyzing the risk for frequency and severity will allow the company to determine what risks are the most dangerous and require the most resources and attention and which are not as worrisome. It is also essential to understand the link between the risk and different factors within the organization. It is necessary to see how many business functions the risk affects to determine the severity and seriousness of the risk. In a manual risk management environment, the risk analysis will be done manually. When a risk management solution is implemented, one of the most important steps is to map risks to different documents, policies, procedures, and business processes. This means that the company will already have a mapped risk framework for evaluating risks. Many organizations use a heat map to measure their risks on this scale. A risk map is a visual tool that details which risks are frequent and severe, thus requires enormous resources. This will help the company identify unlikely risks or have low impact, and those that are very likely would have a significant impact. Knowing the frequency and severity of the company's risks helps determine the required fund and resources to manage its risks. Step 3. Evaluate or rank the risk. Questions that should be addressed at the risk evaluation stage are: what are the potential ways to treat the risk, and of these, which strikes the best balance between being affordable and effective? The essence of risk evaluation is to examine alternative options or solutions. The key here is to find the solution that strikes the best balance between affordability and effectiveness. The choice of solution needs to bring a good return on investment. Risks should be ranked and prioritized. Most risk management solutions have different categories of risks, depending on the severity of the risk. A risk that may cause some inconvenience is rated lowly, risks resulting in catastrophic loss are rated the highest. It is essential to rank risks because it allows the organization to gain a holistic view of the risk exposure of the whole organization. The business may be vulnerable to several low-level risks, but it may not require upper management intervention. On the other hand, just one of the highest-rated risks is enough to require immediate intervention. At this stage, the company should determine how much risk is likely to cost and if the organization will finance the cost. To handle or manage risks, organizations usually have the options to avoid, control, accept or transfer risk. We shall discuss the 5 steps to handle organizations' risks later in this video. Step 4. Treat the risk. The selected risk treatment methods will be implemented at this stage. Having determined what risk to manage, the company must determine the process to be adopted to treat or control each of the risks identified at the first stage of the risk management process. The organization should select the solution that is most likely to achieve desired outcomes. After decided how to address the risk in step 3 of the process, the company should focus on putting the plan into action. To do so, the company must ensure the company's management provides the necessary support and resources, including time, personnel, or money, to treat or handle the firm's potential risks. Then, create a procedure that will address those risks consistently and regularly. Give training to all staff on the new policy and get everyone on board in following the procedure. The essence of this stage is to determine the suitable options or solutions, implement the selected options and finance the risk. Find the needed resources, such as personnel and funding, and get the necessary buy-in. Senior management will likely have to approve the plan, and team members will have to be informed and trained if necessary. The management should set up a formal process to implement the selected solution logically and consistently across the organization. Every risk needs to be eliminated or contained as much as possible. This is done by connecting with the experts of the field to which the risk belongs. In a manual environment, this entails contacting the stakeholders and then setting up meetings so everyone can talk and discuss the issues. The problem is that the discussion is broken into many different email threads, across different documents and spreadsheets, and many different phone calls. In a risk management solution, all the relevant stakeholders can be sent notifications from within the system. The discussion regarding the risk and its possible solution can take place from within the system. Upper management can also keep a close eye on the suggested solutions and achieved success within the system. Instead of contacting each other to get updates, everyone can get updates directly from within the risk management solution. 5. Monitor results and review the risk. Risk management is a process, not a project that can be finished and then forgotten. The organization, its environment, and its risks are constantly changing, so the process should be consistently revisited. A risk management plan cannot simply be made and then forgotten. As the organization and its landscape continuously change, so does the firm's risk exposure. New risks may present themselves or adopted policies may become too in-depth or inadequate. The method the company chose to control a particular risk may be ineffective. Determine whether the initiatives are adequate and whether changes or updates are required. Sometimes, the team may have to start over with a new process if the implemented strategy is ineffective. It is critical to track whether a risk management procedure is working. If not, it is pointless, and the company needs to try a new tactic. Continuous monitoring and improvement are the only way to get a real handle on properly managing risk in any industry. If an organization gradually formalizes its risk management process and develops a risk culture, it will become more resilient and adaptable in the face of change. This will also mean making more informed decisions based on a complete picture of the organization's operating environment and creating a more robust bottom line over the long term. Not all risks can be eliminated because some risks are always present. Market risks and environmental risks are just two examples of risks that always need to be monitored. Under manual systems, monitoring happens through diligent employees and relevant professionals. These professionals must ensure that they keep a close watch on all risk factors. Under a digital environment, the risk management system monitors the entire risk framework of the organization. If any factor or risk changes, it is immediately visible to everyone. Computers are also much better at continuously monitoring risks than people. Monitoring risks also help a business to ensure continuity. Having discussed steps of a risk management process, now let us discuss steps involved in controlling or handling risks. 5 steps to control and manage organizations' risks. It is beneficial to discuss business risks to understand better how to handle and control organizations' risks. Treating risks involves working through options to deal with unacceptable risks to the business. Unacceptable risks range in severity. Some risks will require immediate treatment while others can be monitored and treated later. Risk analysis and evaluation will help the company to prioritize the risks that need to be treated. When the company is developing a plan for treating potential risks, the following issues should be considered. Method of treatment. People who are responsible for the treatment of risks. Costs involved. Benefits of treatment. Likelihood of success, and ways of measuring the success of a risk treatment. How and why the company has decided to treat risks should be outlined in the firm's risk management plan. It is essential to regularly review the risk management plan to consider any new risks associated with changes in the company or improvements in techniques for treating risks. Treatment of business risks. Here are the 5 options for treating risks and their meaning. 1. Avoid T risk. This is a risk avoidance strategy. To avoid risk, the organization must not participate in that activity. If a risk is perceived to be too dangerous to be worth the benefit, the company can avoid it by not taking the risky action or discontinuing the practice. If possible, a firm may decide not to proceed with an activity that is likely to generate risk. Alternatively, the company may consider other ways to achieve the same outcome that does not involve the same risks. This could involve changing the company's processes, equipment, or materials. 2. Reduce the risk. This is a risk reduction strategy. Risk control involves prevention, reducing the likelihood that the risk will occur, or mitigation, thereby reducing its impact if it does occur. Risk prevention entails formulating policies and procedures that reduce the likelihood that the risk will occur, the frequency. For example, the company could implement hourly inspections for hazards in a setting prone to customer slips, trips, and falls. Risk control also entails mitigating risk by creating policies and procedures that decrease the impact risk will have if it occurs, the severity. For example, an organization could install a sprinkler system to reduce damage if a fire breaks out. A firm can reduce its risks by reducing the likelihood of the risk happening, for example, through quality control processes, auditing, compliance with legislation, staff training, regular maintenance, or a change in procedures. Reducing the impact if the risk occurs, for example, through emergency procedures, off-site data backup, minimizing exposure to sources of risk, or using public relations. 3. Transfer the risk. This is a risk transfer strategy. Risk transfer involves giving responsibility for any adverse outcomes to another party, as is when an organization purchases insurance. Risk transfer entails passing the liability and risk to someone else through waivers, contracts, or insurance policies. The company will then hold another party responsible through insurance, outsourcing, joint ventures, and partnerships. The company may also be able to transfer risk by 1. Cross-training staff. This is beneficial as it will enable the staff to be aware of the organization's risks and how the risks can be managed. 2. Identifying alternative suppliers, in case the usual supplier is unable to deliver. 3. Keeping old equipment after it has been replaced. 4. Having a manual backup plan to address the situation where the company's computer networks and similar systems cannot be used. 4. Purchase suitable and adequate insurance policies. A typical example of risk transfer is when the company buy an insurance policy to cover the financial loss of the risk if it occurs. The organization should speak to insurance brokers or insurers to determine if the firm's risks are insurable. Insurable risks refer to risks that the insurance company can insure. 3. Be sure to clarify whether the company is covered for those risks documented in the risk management plan. It is worth emphasizing that insurance policies may have different definitions for specific incidents, for example, strike, flooding, and explosion. 5. Accept the risk. This is a risk acceptance or risk retention strategy. An organization may accept a risk if it cannot be avoided, reduced, or transferred. Other risks may be extremely unlikely and therefore too impractical or expensive to treat. Acceptance means taking the risk as it is. Accepting the risk means deciding that some risks are inherent in doing business and that the benefits of an activity outweigh the potential risks. The company cannot allow its business to become risk-averse. Without risk, no one could ever make a profit. If the risk comes with benefits, such as the inevitable risk of investment leading to a large payout, sometimes it is best to accept the risk. Retention entails bearing the risk of the risk, either by retaining the risk, partly or wholly, or paying a higher deductible on your insurance. However, the organization may need to develop an incident response plan and a recovery plan to help the company deal with the consequences of the risk. Conclusion. This video has explained the risk management process and how to improve risk management process in an organization. We have established that risk management is a crucial business practice that helps businesses identify, evaluate, track, and improve the risk mitigation process in the business environment. Businesses practice risk management directly or indirectly. Small businesses manage risks informally, and large organizations tend to embrace a holistic risk management approach known as enterprise risk management. The risk management process is a framework for the actions that need to be taken. Implementing a risk management process is vital for any organization. Good risk management does not have to be resource-intensive or difficult for organizations to undertake or insurance brokers to provide to their clients. With a bit of formalization, structure, and a strong understanding of the organization, the risk management process can be rewarding. I hope the video is educative and beneficial to you. Which aspect of the 5 steps of a risk management process discussed in this video do you consider to be most crucial in your organization now? Please post your response and comments below in the comments section. If this video has been educative and beneficial to you, then give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Thank you for seeing the Risk Management of Everything videos. We love to hear from you. Please post your comments and questions in the comment section below. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe to our channel, Risk Management of Everything channel, and press the notification button so you can be notified when we upload new videos. Thank you.